Welcome inside the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Ranking Show on the National Soccer Network, presented by Just Slabbed. For all of our Star Wars fans here, may the 4th be with you, and thank you for joining Dan Stickrat and myself, Patty Cesariti, on this rainy Sunday evening. We are happy to bring you your Week 5 rankings, 33 total changes for this week. And Dan, the soccer season is more than halfway. What kind of changes at this point in the season do we really expect to see?
Well, at this point of the season, you're well into conference play. So there's one conference in the state of Michigan that has been decided. One school has clinched at least a tie out of close to 70 different leagues. But you're seeing a lot of that head-to-head competition where teams are tying one-goal victories. In a lot of these races, there's still a multitude of teams engaging in their conference races. A lot more will be decided here in the final 3.5 weeks of the regular season. I think about that, 3.5 weeks. Pre-districts will start that Wednesday through Friday before Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, but we don't really typically see those big jumps where teams are really starting to move 5 spots up or down. It's just a couple of shifts in place here or there because things are really starting to get etched in.
Yeah, I would say etched in, and it's exciting because even on the weekends, you might play 2 league games in a week, and then on a Friday or Saturday, you might head to one of those mini tournaments or pick up a huge non-league game. And over the last week and a half, we saw a lot of huge contests in terms of title implications in various conferences, and even some key non-league matchups here in the last few days.
All right, well, when we come back, we are going to have your Division 4 Week 5 rankings, but go ahead, check out that QR code up on your screen for Just Slabbed. They make some pretty neat cards there for you and your athletes, your teams, whatever it may be. But when we come back, we will have your Division 4 Week 5 rankings for you on the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Ranking Show.
Today I'm going to tell you about sportsmanship because it's important. Treat your opponents the way you would want to be treated. My mom says that. Listen to the referees. It's their job. Be nice to their team and our team. Cheer them on. Always play fair. It's the right thing to do. It's sportsmanship. It's not that hard.
We are the MHSAA, a collection of 750 high schools and 750 middle schools, from Temperance to Copper Harbor, from New Buffalo to Alpena. Each year, more than 250,000 students play one of our 28 sports. More than 1.5 million fans attend our postseason games. There are 30,000 coaches and 8,000 officials, not to mention all of the volunteers. The MHSAA believes in the 4 S's. School sports should be safe and kept in the appropriate scope. We believe nothing beats great sportsmanship, and that scholarship in the classroom is more important than excellence on the field or court. Most of all, we believe school sports should be fun. So come out and join us at a game. Support your school, support your community, and come see what the excitement is all about. We are the MHSAA, a collection of 750 high schools and 750 middle schools, from Temperance to Copper Harbor, from New Buffalo to Alpena. Each year, more than 250,000 students play one of our 28 sports. More than
Welcome back, everybody, into the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Ranking Show, presented by Just Slabbed on the National Soccer Network. You know the drill. We are going to get right in to those Division 4 rankings. Go ahead, take a look at what is up on your screen for Week 5 in Division 4. And remember, these rankings come from the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association. So let's start at 15 for Week 5. At 15, Kalamazoo Hackett Catholic Prep, then Byron Center Zion Christian, Saginaw-Neville Catholic Central, Adrian Lenawee Christian, followed by Auburn Hills Oakland Christian at 10, Plymouth Christian, Madison Heights Bishop Foley, Harbor Springs, Grosse Pointe Woods University Liggett, Kalamazoo Christian, North Muskegon at 5, then Clarkston Everest Collegiate, Leland, Muskegon Western Michigan Christian, and at number 1 for Week 5 in Division 4 is Royal Oak Shrine. The team that is out is Granville Calvin Christian. The team that is in is Byron Center Zion Christian, and that will bring us to a total number of changes at 6. And we have a couple of headlines for you this week. So Royal Oak Shrine is in the midst of a loaded CHNSL AA Division title chase. The Knights are 9-2-1 overall with a 30-13 scoring edge, but have not lost to a Division III or Division IV school this season. And then the second headline, 10-time state finalist Kalamazoo Christian is picking up some steam, standing at 8-4-1 overall atop the SAC Valley Division at 4-0-0, Dan.
And they're in the same league with number 15 Kalamazoo Hackett Catholic Prep, arch rivals. Look at Catholic Prep's numbers, 47-17 scoring edge with 7 shutouts, and at Kalamazoo Christian, 48-15. You look back over the last several decades, and in leagues in the southwestern corner of the state, those two teams have predominantly been factors in their conference races. With Kalamazoo Christian, state champion 2 years ago, state runner-up last year. They would love nothing more to get back to that final after losing to a shootout last year to Jackson Lumen Christi. Byron Center Zion Christian, they fell out of the rankings last week, back in. They're out of the Alliance League. They've also had some great numbers this season, 51-7 scoring edge. Saginaw-Neville Catholic Central, they lead the Blue Division of the Tri-Valley Conference, 38-23. They've outscored their opposition. Adrian Lenawee Christian, an independent this season, 47-10 scoring edge. They have 5 shutouts on the year. Then you look at Auburn Hills Oakland Christian and Plymouth Christian. They're 2 of 4 teams still mathematically in the Michigan Independent Athletic Conference chase. Allen Park Intercity Baptist and Rochester Hills Lutheran Northwest, the other 2 teams in that race. Neither of those teams are listed in the rankings this week. Then you look at the Catholic AA division, Madison Heights Bishop Foley, they are 9th this week. They have a 33-24 scoring edge, so they're outscoring their opponents, not necessarily playing great defense, but sometimes that recipe for a great offense works for certain teams. Up in northern Michigan, a lot of those teams had some games canceled in March and early April. They're starting to get caught up. But in the newly created Northern Shores Conference, Harbor Springs, 7-0-0 in that league, 29-10 scoring edge. So Harbor Springs looking to win the first ever Northern Shores Conference Championship. They've been a quality team in recent years, but Elk Rapids has been kind of a team that is dominated as small schools up in northern Michigan. Harbor Springs trying to play catch-up, and they're past one of their arch rivals. Grosse Pointe Woods University Liggett, another AA division of the CHSL. Only 1 loss, 4 ties. They are a very good defensive team. They've only given up 10 goals all season. North Muskegon, it's odd not looking at them as the favorite in the West Michigan Conference. They sit back in 3rd behind Ludington and Fremont at this point, but they're not as good offensively as they have been the last 7 or 8 years, but they're still a solid team. They're 3rd place at 5-1, and they've had a 38-19 scoring edge. Clarkston Everest Collegiate, they were your state runner-up 2 years ago. They sit in kind of that top 3 of the AA division. Leland was one of those teams that had some games canceled earlier in the year, but now they're off to a 7-1 start. They did drop a game here this week, but it's not a huge deal when they lost to Muskegon Western Michigan Christian 1-0. Could those 2 teams see each other late in the state tournament? If Western Michigan Christian can get past North Muskegon in a district, chances are that Leland could be in the path of either of those 2 teams. And then we talked about Royal Oak Shrine. They have been a very, very good team here the last decade. They've won a couple of pair of state championships and a runner-up, and they have been one of the key teams to watch this season. They've gone outside the lead. They've taken a couple losses, but they've played some much bigger schools, and we talked about that last week, and we'll talk about it later in this show about that strength of schedule. Some leagues are far more deeper than others, and some schools come from deep leagues, but they also will go out and play some very tough non-league competition. They'll travel across the state for those good games. And you know, you're a little bit of disadvantage where in Northern Michigan, but some of those teams do play top tier teams from the Grand Rapids and Detroit area. There was a lot of teams that went up to Traverse City this past weekend in the upper divisions. We'll talk about that later in the show.
Yeah, lots of travel for those teams for sure, especially when you're trying to jam in a couple more bigger competition dates. But you are watching it here on the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Network. We are breaking things down for you in the high school ranking show. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we will have your Division III rankings for Week 5.
In our online world, we have access to endless communication channels. But despite our online connections, one dynamic will always separate the value in a phone call from an email, and that's relationship. Growing businesses and customer relationships live and die by the phone system, and an enterprise phone solution is the key to bridging the communication gap between you and your customers. At Spectrum VoIP, we exist to make sure your communication is seamless, consistent, and reliable. With simple pricing and reliable support, we dramatically reduce your telecommunication expenses. We come to you to install, train, and onboard your team, and our 24/7 support team is always available to help. Our interactive web portal has endless features that include the real-time data you need, the ability to record, download, and re-listen to phone calls, and sending SMS text messages straight from your computer. And the best part is that all of this is available in the palm of your hand. Since reliability is one of your top priorities, we make it one of ours. So what makes us different? We don't just connect your phones. We power your connection with your customers, your team, and your next level as a business.
Today I'm going to tell you about sportsmanship because it's important. Treat your opponents the way you would want to be treated. My mom says that. Listen to the referees. It's their job. Be nice to their team and our team. Cheer them on. Always play fair. It's the right thing to do. It's sportsmanship. It's not that hard.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Ranking Show on the National Soccer Network, presented by Just Slabbed. We are going to break down our Division III Week 5 rankings for you, and we will, of course, give you those top two headlines as well. So go ahead, take a look at what is on your screen for the Division III within this past week. We'll start things off at number 15, of course. So coming in at 15 is Bad Axe, followed by Flint Powers Catholic, Williamston, Grand Rapids West Michigan Aviation Academy, then Traverse City St. Francis at 10. You have Fremont, then Warren Regina, Pontiac Notre Dame Prep, Milan, Frankenmuth at 5, Brooklyn Columbia Central, then Grand Rapids Catholic Central, Detroit Country Day, Grosse Ile, and coming in at number 1 is Essexville Garber. The team that is out this week is Freeland. The team that is in is Bad Axe. And your honorable mentions are Freeland, Standish Sterling, Almont, Ann Arbor, Green Hills, Wixom, St. Catherine, Armada, and Howard City, Tri-County, for a total number of changes at 11. And for your headline number 1, Essexville Garber, they lead the Tri-Valley Conference Red Division at 6-0-1 and is 10-1-1 overall. This is the first time the Dukes have been ranked number 1 at 9-1-1 overall and 7-1-1 in the Cascades Conference. Brooklyn Columbia Central has 8 shutouts and a 36-4 scoring edge. This is BCC's best start to date, Dan.
Well, before we dive into the top 15 honorable mention, I would like to point out that Flint Powers Catholic did not play any games in any sports on Monday and Tuesday. Sadly, the Chargers lost a student athlete who passed away last Monday morning, so very sad moment up at Flint Powers. But a lot of teams, I'll point out, starting out before we get into the top 15, down in that honorable mention category, some teams kind of bubbling under, putting up some really good numbers, not necessarily teams you might see there, but we'll start with Standish Sterling. They're in that new Jack Pine conference. Jack Pine never had a conference schedule before. They have outscored the opposition 62-7. They're 12-1-0 this season.
Smokes.
That is a team just north of Bay City, about 20 miles. If you've ever driven through Standish Sterling, some great places to eat in Standish, but their soccer team is rapidly on the rise, so hats off to Standish Sterling. Ann Arbor Green Hills, always known for their defense. Another team out of that CHSL AA division. Only giving up 3 goals this year. The Greifins 29-3 scoring edge, 8 shutouts. As Lucian Pavescu's team is playing some phenomenal defense. Wixom Catherine, they're out of the intersectional division of the CHSL. Their best start in program history. That school opened up a little less than 20 years ago, but they're 6-0-1. They did tie back in late March. Detroit Country Day, which ranked 3rd. They tied the Yellow Jackets 1-1. So that is a team maybe not playing as tough as an overall schedule, but when they went up against a really good team, they got a great result. Elmont and Armada are in that Blue Water Area Conference. Elmont's kind of dominated that league in the last few years, but a lot of teams are kind of knocking on that door. Armada 11-1-1 start. That's their best start. They've had a 46-13 scoring edge with 8 shutouts, and then Elmont is in second place in that league, 49-15 scoring edge. They're only 6-4, but they played some pretty tough non-league games. And then Freeland, Final Four last year, they fell out of the top 15. They're in 4th place in that Tri-Valley Conference Red Division. That's the same conference as Essville Garber. Now Garber, you look in the last decade, they've been routinely scoring over 100, a couple years ago, 173 goals they put up as a team. Not as explosive offensively, but they've played a tougher schedule than in recent years. They're first place of the TVC Red. Frankenmuth is just behind them in 2nd. Bay City John Glenn's in 3rd, and Freeland's in 4th. But Garber, they were a state runner-up in 2019. Could be this year that Essville Garber makes a run back to the Final Four, maybe makes another appearance in the state championship match. We'll see how the Dukes handle the pressure now that they're number 1. Grosse Ile is ranked 2nd. They're off to a very good start. There's 4 good teams in that Huron League. Grosse Ile, 11 shutouts this year. They're 6-1 on the conference, 6-1-1, and 42-9 scoring edge, but they trailed New Boston Huron in the standings, so they're looking to try to get another kind of a win against New Boston Huron the second time around. They did lose to Huron 4-0 here this past week. We talked about Brooklyn Columbia Central. They're in 2nd place, just a point behind Manchester. That's a Division IV school, but it's significant because sometimes the programs kind of along that south central belt of Michigan don't get a lot of credit. Brooklyn Columbia Central's put up some pretty good numbers here the last couple of years. They have a very strong sophomore class, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago. 36-4 scoring edge and 8 shutouts. So they are getting it done on the offensive end and the defensive end, and they're looking to win a conference championship and maybe even a district championship this year. Milan in 7th place. They are in the Huron League with Grosse Ile. There's 4 good teams again. I just mentioned that. There's 4 good teams in that league. New Boston Huron, Grosse Ile, Milan, and Carleton Airport. Certain leagues across the state that were dominated in recent years by 1 or 2 teams. They're getting more and more deeper as more and more kids are getting involved at various levels of club soccer. There's better coaches, and you're starting to, which is good for the sport because sometimes a team will run away with this conference, but then they struggle in the state tournament because they had a lot of blowouts in their league. Now teams in some of these other conferences are seeing much tougher competition. Warren Regina, just a victim of a tough schedule. They've only given up 11 goals this season. They're out of that central division of the CHSL. But the Satellites are still a very good defensive team, and they will be tough to defeat in the postseason. Traverse City, St. Francis, Pontiac Notre Dame Prep, they're a pair of independents. So they've loaded up on Division I and Division II schools this year, so their record may not show it, just like Flint Powers plays a ton of Division I and Division II schools throughout the course of the season. But when you get to tournament time, those teams are battle-tested because they've gone out, they've handpicked a lot of very good teams in different conferences to kind of not just boost their MVR, but they're trying to, prepare themselves for deep tournament runs, and a lot of these teams have a lot of histories in doing so.
Well, thank you, Dan. And just a reminder, these come from the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association. All of these rankings from Division IV all the way into Division I. And before we send it to break, we just want to offer our sincerest condolences to the Flint Powers Catholic Community School for such a tragedy that occurred earlier this week. So just a quick moment of silence for Maya Hoberg. Thank you, everyone. We are going to send this to break, and when we come back, we are going to break down your Division II rankings.
Looking for a score, a schedule, a story? MHSAA.com has you covered. Our newly redesigned website has everything you need to follow high school sports in Michigan. And it's optimized for mobile use. Fans can submit scores on a Friday night, check playoff pairings and game times, or read about the student athletes from your community. Your first stop is MHSAA.com. Connect with us online and get everything you need all in one place.
At Sarah Buick GMC Rochester Hills, football season is a great time to show off our new lineup.
Like our star players,
our beefed up defense,
our hurry up offense, and our impressive stats.
Check out these highlights.
Right now, you can lease this GMC Sierra Elevation Crew Cab for $239 a month, or take the field in a Buick Envista Preferred for just $159 a month.
With offers this good, you should start practicing your touchdown dance.
Only at Sarah Buick GMC Rochester Hills.
Whether you're a beginner coach or a seasoned professional, one thing remains the same: the passion to teach and inspire the next generation of players. Now imagine a place where you could share your coaching knowledge, connect with others, and create a lasting impact. Welcome to the ultimate coaching community, where coaches from all levels can create and share their own courses. Whether you have years of experience or you're just getting started, this is your chance to make your voice heard. Create your own personalized courses, share drills, strategies, and tips, and watch as your knowledge reaches coaches from all corners of the soccer world. With a platform designed for sharing, learning, and growing, you're not just teaching the game, you're creating a community of like-minded coaches, all striving to be the best they can be. Together, we'll elevate the game and support one another to be better, stronger coaches.
And welcome back into the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Ranking Show on the National Soccer Network, presented by Just Slabbed. We're going to get right in to those Division II Week 5 rankings. Now, something to note, here's where we're not seeing those big changes and stuff. No teams have bumped in or out for this week, so it is the same exact teams, maybe just shuffled around ever so slightly. So go ahead, take a look at what is up on your screen. We'll start at number 15. Coming in is Middleville, Thornapple Kellogg, then East Grand Rapids, Farmington Hills Mercy, Goodrich, Grand Rapids, Forest Hills Northern. At 10, Mason, then DeWitt, then Stevensville Lakeshore, Otsego, Grand Rapids South Christian. At 5, New Boston Huron, then Birmingham Marion, Grand Rapids, Forest Hills Central, Richland Gull Lake, followed by our number 1 team, Hudsonville Unity Christian. They have been on fire. We talked about it last week. And your honorable mentions are Spring Lake, Dearborn Divine Child, Ada, Forest Hills Eastern, and Holly, for a total number of changes at 12. In your Division II headlines, ladies and gentlemen, Birmingham Marion is 9-2-1 with a 38-8 scoring edge, but is trying to win the CHSL Central Division and the CHSL Tournament this month. And then Richland Gull Lake is 12-1-1 with a 48-9 scoring edge and is in first place in a crowded SMAC at 6-1-0. The Blue Devils have won 5 straight. They're on fire this week.
They're on fire. We'll talk about that. They took down Division I Portage Central 1-0 last week. And to know, Gull Lake, one of their top players, graduated early. She's playing volleyball down at Wright State, so she will not be playing soccer her senior year. Another one of their top players tore an ACL last fall, a couple weeks before girls basketball started. So without the services of 2 All-Staters from last year, yeah, Gull Lake, They have been a staple the last 2 decades in the Division II rankings, and Jeff Corstains has this team firing in all cylinders. Once again, we just mentioned Marion. Marion has 2 losses this season and a tie, but all 3 of those results were against OAA Red Division members, which are all Division I schools. So Marion, 2 years ago, you remember, in the regional semifinals, they got upset by Grosse Pointe North, and then last year they made a run to the state final, but they did not win the Catholic High School League tournament last year. The Mustangs would really love to finish on top of that tournament here at the end of May and get both a division and a conference tournament championship and try to make another deep run in the postseason. Unity Christian, again, number 1. They have not missed a beat. They have been on fire offensively. 60-2 scoring edge with 11 shutouts. In the most recent United Soccer Coaches national rankings, Crusaders 16th in the country out of 17 states that play girls soccer during the spring months. Grand Rapids Forest Hill Central, they have outscored their opposition 32-10. They're 5-0-3 in their conference. Not quite as dominant offensively, but this is still a very good Rangers team. They could face Unity Christian if they both win their districts and regionals in the Final Four. Grand Rapids South Christian, we haven't talked about them. They bumped up to Division II as well. They've been a longtime powerhouse in Division III. They lead the Ottawa-Kent Conference Gold Division. The Sailors 64-6 scoring edge, 9 shutouts this year. So that is another team that's trying to prep for a possible long journey in that postseason. Otsego had a long chat with Levi Butcher, the head coach of Otsego. They knocked off Plainwell 3-1 here this past week. Plainwell, going back to the late 1980s, they have dominated that Wolverine Conference more than any other school. Now, Otsego is alone in first place, so they are looking to win a rare conference championship in that league. Stevensville Lakeshore, one of the many teams in that Southwestern Michigan Athletic Conference having very good seasons. There's 6 to 7 teams, and they're kind of beating up on each other. Gold Lake is in first place, but a lot of very close games in that league. So once you get into the postseason, Lakeshore is another team where they're down in the southwestern part of Michigan. They do have the talent to make a deep run. If they can get a lucky bounce or two, they would eventually have to run into the likes of someone like Richmond Gold Lake or Hudsonville Unity Christian. Can Lakeshore beat one of those teams? We'll see. They first have to win a district championship. You're looking down that list. Farmington Hills Mercy's only outscored their opposition 15-7, but when you have one of the best goalkeepers and one of the best defenses in the state, the Marlins are going to be a very tough team to defeat here late in the season. Goodrich, not much history until Josh Back took over that program 4 years ago. I had a long talk with Coach Back. He was an All-Stater for Ortonville Brandon back in the 1990s. He played for University of Detroit Mercy. Now he has the Martians playing some very good soccer, very deep sophomore class. And they're 8-0-0 in that Flint Metro League. They are trying to go 11-0-0 for second straight year. They've already defeated most of the top teams in that league, so it's looking very much like Goodrich has a great shot of winning a conference town. DeWitt and Mason out of the Lansing area, they're both engaged in title chases in the Capital Area Athletic Conference. DeWitt's in the blue division and Mason is in the red. We'll see how those two teams pan out here in the final weeks of the regular season. East Grand Rapids, state runner-up 2 years ago, not scoring like they have the last couple of years. They still have a 32-17 scoring edge, but when you come out of the Ottawa-Kent Conference White Division, there's so many good teams in that league, so many close games that your overall team stats might be down a little bit, but East Grand Rapids kind of in that triangle in that Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Holland area where there are so many good teams in all 4 divisions. So you look up and down all 4 of the state rankings, and you see a ton of schools out of the Ottawa-Kent Conference kind of battling for conference championships. And then at 15th is Middleville, Thornapple, Kellogg. I mentioned last week, they're out of that gold division of the Ottawa-Kent Conference. They graduated 1 Division I player, but when you bring back over 90% of your entire roster, that's another team that's playing some very good soccer here into the month of May. And then the honorable mentions, Ada Forest Hills Eastern. This is one of their best starts at 6-3-2. Another OKC White Division team. Dearborn Divine Child has one of the best juniors in the state in Cameron Hune. She has been on a scoring binge since the middle of March. In Spring Lake, your state champion last year in Division II. When you graduate 9 starters, you don't have a ton of players back. A lot of players playing new roles. The record's not showing it, but they are building. They are playing as tough as a schedule as just about anybody. They actually lost to a couple of Division I schools here over the weekend in Rochester and Troy Athens, but another team, honorable mention now, Spring Lake could be a team that breaks into the top 15 and at least could contend for a district championship.
Just an absolute encyclopedia of knowledge, Dan. My goodness. All right, we are going to send this one to break, but beforehand, take a look at our live cam. We have the Fuego U-23. This is out in Northern California. It's so much nicer, so much warmer over there than it is here right now.
Should we do the ranking show from California next week?
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, can we get flown out there? Yeah, I'm getting a call from the big man, the boss. He's saying we don't have what's on the budget. But
okay,
that's all right. We'll try next year. But you are watching the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Ranking Show on the National Soccer Network, presented by Just SLABBED. When we come back, we'll have your Division I rankings for Week 5.
We are the MHSAA, a collection of 750 high schools and 750 middle schools. From Temperance to Copper Harbor, from New Buffalo to Alpena, each year more than 250,000 students play one of our 28 sports. More than 1.5 million fans attend our postseason games. There are 30,000 coaches and 8,000 officials, not to mention all of the volunteers. The MHSAA believes in the 4 S's. School sports should be safe and kept in the appropriate scope. We believe nothing beats great sportsmanship, and that scholarship in the classroom is more important than excellence on the field or court. Most of all, we believe school sports should be fun. So come out and join us at a game. Support your school, support your community, and come see what the excitement is all about.
Today I'm going to tell you about sportsmanship because it's important. Treat your opponents the way you would want to be treated. My mom says that. Listen to the referees. It's their job. Be nice to their team and our team. Cheer them on. Always play fair. It's the right thing to do. It's sportsmanship. It's not that hard.
And welcome back into the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Ranking Show on the National Soccer Network, presented by Just SLABBED. And this is going to be our last segment for tonight. We're going to be talking Division I Week 5 rankings per usual. Let's start it off at number 15. Take a look at the rankings that are up on your screen. And here we go. Coming in at 15 is Brighton, then Romeo, then Ann Arbor Skyline, Byron Center, Troy Athens. At 10, you have Midland, Heartland, Rochester Adams, then Troy, Portage Central. At 5, Utica Eisenhower, then Rochester, Rockford, Bloomfield Hills, and at number 1, you have Saline. The team that is out is Northville. The team that is in is Brighton. And your honorable mentions are Muskegon Mona Shores, Midland Dow, Lake Orion, Northville, Grand Blanc, Grand Haven, Traverse City West, and Davison. A boatload of honorable mentions for Division I. And that is for a total number of changes at Week 5 at number 4. And your headlines, we've got 3 for Division I. Bloomfield Hills, they're going after just its second OAA Red Division crown since the 2013 merger of Bloomfield Hills, Andover, and Lazar. Then Midland is still in its perfect season at 12-0-0 and leads a deep Saginaw Valley League. And Ann Arbor Skyline tied Saline this week as the Eagles are 2-0-2 against Saline over the past 1.5 seasons. Dan?
Saline, maybe a little bit of kink in the armor. That is a team, 83-4 scoring edge, but they were shut out by Ann Arbor Skyline, even though Skyline graduated 10 of their top 13 players from last year, both goalies stood on their head in that game, I was told. Great defensive game. Those two teams will meet a second time in conference play, could likely meet again in a district tournament as well. Bloomfield Hills, we just talked about them. They're in first place of the OAA Red Division. All season long, there's been 5 of the 7 teams in the OAA Red that have been in that top 15. Bloomfield Hills and 4th-ranked Rochester. Neither of those teams have lost yet. Like Rochester 32-7 scoring edge, but they're 1-0-3 in conference play. And again, Bloomfield Hills leads the top of that table at 4-0-1. They've outscored their opposition 35-5. So a challenging schedule by Bloomfield Hills. They just knocked off number 4th-ranked in Division II, Birmingham Marion, 2-1 here this past week as two teams in that same Birmingham Bloomfield Hills area facing off in a classic non-league battle. Utica Eisenhower's kind of regrouped. They're 11-1-0. They lost a couple weeks ago to Romeo, which is moving up 1-14. Those two teams will play again in 2 weeks to see who will win that Macomb Area Conference Red Division. Portage Central, SMAC. There's so many good teams in that league. We've talked about that week in and week out. 6 or 7 very talented teams in that league. Troy, the defending OAA Red champs, they've been struggling a little bit offensively this year, just 21 goals as a team, but they're still in that top 10. And Rochester Adams had a little bit of blip a few weeks ago where they lost 3 out of 4. Now they have a 32-11 scoring edge, and they're sitting at 2-2 in that league. Let's talk Midland a little bit, because last year, enrollment-wise, they got bumped down to the Division II. They made a run to the regional finals, but they brought back most of the roster with Chemics 12-0-0. Midland Dow has won the Saginaw Valley League the last 3 years. Midland knocked off their arch rivals 3-0 this past week, so they are in the driver's seat of that very deep Saginaw Valley League, and they're looking to win a conference championship before they could possibly go on a run. Down on the honorable mentions, Davison, Rob Knuckles has done a great job with that program in recent years. Not a lot of praise. They're in 3rd place in Saginaw Valley League. They beat Grand Blanc back in late March. The Cardinals playing some good soccer. You look at their numbers, in 40-8 scoring heads and 6 shutouts. They're 5-1 in that league. So Midland leads the league. Midland Dow second, and then both Davison and Grand Blanc are tied for 3rd in the Saginaw Valley. Grand Haven made a run to the Final Four last year. They brought back 16 out of 20 players. They have not been mentioned at all this season. The Buccaneers are in that top 3 in the very good quality Ottawa Kent Conference Red Division, and they have a 35-12 scoring edge and 4 shutouts. So Adam Deem has their team kind of, putting it back together. They could be a team that could go on a deep run. They're in that same league as Rockford. Rockford is ranked 3rd. They only gave up 6 goals all last season. They've given up 5 this year, but they have 8 more shutouts this year, 8-1-3. The Rockford Rams, one of the best defensive teams. You look at Division I and Division II combined, they're one of the best defensive teams around. Heartland, Brighton, and Northville kind of form that top 3 in a very deep Kensington Lakes Activity Association. Heartland won the conference crown last year. They lost in the conference tournament championship to Livonia Stevenson. And that league's doing things a little bit differently. So you have 2 divisions of 8. Instead of playing each other twice, you'll play everyone once. And the top 4 teams will do a round-robin tournament at the top, and the bottom 4 in both divisions will do a round-robin tournament against one another. And then Byron Center, 54-6 scoring edge. They have 8 shutouts, and they are in first place in the Ottawa Kent Conference Green Division. They moved over from the white to the green, where Muskegon Mona Shores. They've knocked off Mona Shores twice this season. Mona Shores hadn't lost the league game since 2016, and so Byron Center are looking more and more like they should win that conference as well. And then another note, Lake Orion comes out of the OAA White Division. Not a lot of talk about the Dragons, but they have brought back 16 players. They inherited a club player, never played high school before. It's signed with DePaul, and the Dragons are top of the OAA White at 5-1-2, but they've outscored their opposition 37 with 6 shutouts. So Lake Orion did win a district championship last year. They lost in the regional semifinals to Heartland, but the Dragons, they're led by Amanda Hutchinson, who played on Rochester Adams' 1999 state championship team. That is a program definitely back on the rise, and looking to see if the Dragons could crack into that top 15 before the regular season's over.
Definitely, and I just can't get over 4 total changes. Like that, this is what we're talking about. Things aren't getting moving and shaking and whatever you want to call it. It's getting pretty stagnant, so I will be very interested to see how it works out within the next couple of weeks here as we start to close in on those final rankings and whatnot. But that is it. That's all we have for Week 5 here,
Week 5 is in the wrap-up. Once again, we thank all the division chairs of the Michigan High School Soccer Coach Association. So every week in the spring and the fall, they collect the data in their respective divisions to come up with the top 15 and honorable mentions. So I'd like to give a shout-out to all the coaches this school year in both boys soccer and girls soccer who sacrifice a lot of their time each weekend to put together these rankings the best that they can. But that is a wrap. Looking forward to see how these final conference races end up here in the last 3.5 weeks of the regular season. Just think about that. Less than a month, the postseason will begin. We're only 4 weeks away from Memorial Day, 4 weeks from tomorrow. So at the end of the season is starting in near. State tournament will begin here in 3.5 weeks. So we are about 6.5 weeks to the state championships.
Oh yeah, we're getting down to that nitty gritty. Don't forget, guys, scan the QR codes that you have seen throughout this show for Just Slabbed. This one here up on your screen right now. Share your story with us so we can share it with everybody else in all of the soccer community and soccer fans around here. But that's all that we have for our Week 5 rankings in the Michigan High School Girls Soccer Ranking Show. From our producer, Jonathan Turner, to my partner, Dan Stickrat, myself, Patty Cesarini, thank you so much for taking your time on this rainy Sunday evening, and may the 4th be with you.